Honorable lecturers, my dear colleagues, distinguished participants. Good morning to all participants from Caribbean and Latin American countries, and a very good evening to the organizing team. Thank you for staying in the course and for participating on the day 3 of the online training course on hydroponics. We will now hear presentation from Mrs. Yaduni Putri, but before we are heading to the lecture, let us read the brief profile of Mrs. Yaduni Putri. Mrs. Yaduni Putri has over 10 years of experience in training agricultural human resources. She is an agronomist and horticultural specialist. She has extensive professional experience in horticulture, global trends, research, inorganic nutrients, and secondary metabolites of plants. She has experience in training on hydroponic for participants from Asia and the Pacific countries. Currently, she works at the ICAT Lembang as lecturer, and she is currently taking a PhD in agronomy at the Bogor Agricultural Institute. On this training, she will share her knowledge on the nutrition of hydroponic. You could begin your presentation now, Mrs. Via. Thank you.
Evening, Indonesia, and good morning to our friends in Caribbean and Latin America. My name is Fia, and just like Ms. Niken said, I'm one of the lecturers in ICAT Lembang. And in these sessions, I will share to you about nutrition of hydroponics. Okay, now allow me to share screen. Miss Dari, okay. Okay, the objectives. The participants are expected to understand the importance of hydroponics nutrients. And the second, participants are able to prepare the hydroponics nutrients. Okay, hydroponics is a science of growing plants without soil. Now, hydroponics become a trend and also considered as one of the future farming technology. So hydroponic also has a wide variety of techniques, from the simple one, just like using wick system without circulations, until sophisticated high technology in the vertical indoor farming. Just like we saw yesterday from Pak Abdul Rahim, already show us the many and various hydroponic system. So there are several advantages of hydroponics. The first one, you can grow anywhere. It means that it's become a good alternative or options, especially the city farming or urban farming. And the second one is uses 20 times less water than soil-based gardening. So it means we can save more water rather than the conventional one. And the third one, your environment can be made sterile, which means will be less pesticide, and the productions can increase 3 to 10 times in the same amount of space. Because using a hydroponics, it's allow us to make a vertical plants in the system of hydroponics. And the next one, it can exist in a places where weather and soil conditions are not favorable for traditional food productions. So it's become a good options when we, in the marginal area, we can still planting using this system. And the next one, no mulching, no tilling, changing of soil and weeding. Because this is a soilless culture. And the next, the harvesting is easier, and we will get a high quality yield, and of course, more nutritional balance. But there are also disadvantage of hydroponics. The first one, some of hydroponic system is not cheap. So just like we said before, there will be various technology in hydroponics. There is a various system from the cheap one and the most sophisticated one, and it means more cost to build that. The next one, hydroponic system are vulnerable to power outages. So if the electricity is gone for a certain system such as NFT or aeroponic, that will be a problem. The next one, if a disease appears, all plants in the system will be affected easily. The next one, using hydroponic means you need a constant monitoring, and growing this plant in the hydroponic garden means you need a technical expertise. And the last one, if the system fails, the plant death will occur rapidly. Okay, in this session, we're going to discuss, and I will share to you more about nutrient solutions. So the nutrient solution to hydroponics is just like fertilizer to soil. Well, essentially, the hydroponics is a nutrient solutions, which is a liquid filled with all the necessary nutrients for plant to grow. So compared to the soil, hydroponics make it easier to measure and fill the exact amounts of nutrients in the water solutions. It's more specifically, actually, hydroponics is the method of farming where plants can be grown in the nutrient fortified water instead of soil. Okay, inadequate or excessive amount of any nutrients will be result poor crop performance. The excessive amounts can be especially troublesome since they can damage the crops and of course waste money and also the fertilizer resources, and also polluted the environment where the fertilizer is released during the flushing of the nutrient delivery system. Okay, so if we talk about hydroponic nutrient solutions, means it's really close related to water. So we need to talk about the water quality, especially for the raw water. There are several water resources for hydroponics nutrient solutions. The first one is rainwater. So generally, rainwater has an excellent quality for hydroponics cultivations. And harvesting the rainwater is possible, especially if you have a greenhouse, you can collect the rainfall from the greenhouse cover. And the next one is the surface water. Surface water means from the rivers, lakes, or canals. Well, for these kinds of water, it might have a variable chemical quality, and it can differ from the excellence to the very poor, depending on the source. But it is also possible that the quality differs over the year. And the next one is the municipal tap water. Well, in Indonesia, we also have this one. And the tap water sometimes contains salt or chloride. And beside that, tap water is often expensive and the quantities per hour, sometimes it's too low. And the next one is the groundwater. The quality of the groundwater is very much depend on the local situations, actually. So it might be of the chemical quality, it has an excellent chemical quality, but it may also contain such a large amount of salt that it should be desalinated, for example. And we can use kinds of reverse osmosis to treat the water before we use it for the hydroponics system. Okay, even in the raw water, we need to pay attention in this one, electrical conductivity and also the pH. So the pH is actually a measure of the concentrations of free hydrogens and the hydroxyl ion in the water. And the water that contains more hydrogen ion is more acidic. And the pH is a very crucial for the growers to consider because it has a significant influence on the nutrients uptake in plants. While the electrical conductivity is reversed to the the concentrations of ion is contained, and the hydroponics growing, the ion concentration is the same as the concentrate of salt dissolved in the water. And also it will give the grower an indications of how many nutrients in the water contains. So if there is a problem with our raw water, the grower usually use the big one, the big plantations or big farm. They usually have the resource osmosis pump to remove the many types of molecule and ions from the solutions, including bacteria. But yeah, in case we don't have these kinds of pump, maybe we can use the physical filtering, such as using sand, zeolite, or active charcoal. Okay, the next is about plant nutrients. Oh, we always know there are essential nutrients terminology. And to be classified as essential, the elements need to meet the following criteria. First one, the plants cannot complete its life cycle without it. The second one, the element's functions cannot be replaced by another element. And the third one, the element is directly involved in the plant's growth and reproductions. So essential nutrients are usually divided into two groups. The one is the macronutrients, and the second one is the micronutrients. Macronutrients means they're required in the large amounts by the plants. As for example, just like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, and also calcium. While the micronutrients is the opposite, they're needed in a very small amounts. But it doesn't mean they can be replaced, because this is one of the essential nutrients. For example, iron, manganese, boron, zinc, chlorine, molybdenum, and copper. Okay, based on the functions of the essential elements, they're classified under 4 categories. The first one is a biomolecule, such as carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. The second one is for energy, just like magnesium in the chlorophyll and the phosphorus in adenosine triphosphate, and also for enzyme. And the next is for potential osmotic. For example, is potassium, because it plays a very important role in opening and closing stomata. Okay, this one is the elements and also the function in plants is a very important, just like a nitrogen is responsible for vegetative growth and the building block for protein in the plants. While phosphorus is of course critical in the root development, crop maturity, and seed productions. While the potassium, this is the 3 big one, activates enzymes and also important to a plant's availability to withstand extreme temperature and drought. And there are many other elements, the microelements also, just like iron is also the component of enzyme, and it's also essential for chlorophyll synthesis and photosynthesis. While manganese is also important in the chloroplast production, and also a cofactor in many plants reactions and activates the enzyme. While the zinc is a component of many enzymes and essential for plants' hormone balance and auxin activity. Okay, macronutrients and micronutrients, they also have their own characteristics. So when the plant suffers deficiency, they're going to appear on the plants. So we can divide the symptom into two parts based on the character of the nutrients for mobile and immobile elements. For mobile elements such as nitrogen, the deficiency symptoms usually appears in the old leaves, while for the immobile nutrients, their character, if they have a deficiency, it's going to appear in the young leaves. For the mobile elements, the example is just like nitrogen and the phosphorus and also potassium, while the immobile is such as calcium and then iron. Iron is easily to guess because the deficiency symptom will be appear in the young leaves. So, and the other, just like a manganese, is also immobile, where molybdenum is mobile. Okay, deficiency symptom of the essential elements will appear in the plants in the form of sclerosis. It means the loss of chlorophyll leading to the yellowing leaves. It's usually because of the deficiency of nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, iron, manganese, zinc, and molybdenum. And okay, this one is the example of sclerosis. And the next one is necrosis. Necrosis is the death of leaf tissue. It's caused by the deficiency of calcium, magnesium, copper, and potassium. And this is the appearance of necrosis. The deficiency of the plant nutrients elements also will affect the stunted growth and premature fall of leaves and buds, inhibition of cell division, and also delayed flowering. Okay, so this is actually the appearance. Previously in Indonesia, the hydroponics was used in the university for nutrients experiments. So this is one of the example of the experiments in the university. We can use the hydroponics by remove the source of nitrogen, and the deficiency symptom will be appear in the old leaves. And the right one is when we remove the source of iron, and the deficiency symptom will be appear in the young leaves. So hydroponics is very beneficial in a research, of course. In here, mostly the growers use the commercial hydroponics nutrients. And in Indonesia, there are a lot of commercial hydroponics nutrients, and commonly it's called AB mix because it usually consists of at least two parts of nutrients for two stock A and stock B. And there are a lot of brands of hydroponics nutrient with their own superiority in their nutrients formula. Okay, why it's divided into two kind of stock solutions, stock A and stock B? It's because calcium cannot meet the sulfate and the phosphate form because it can cause precipitation or sediment in the bottom of your tank. So that's why we need to divide it into two stock A and stock B. So if we talk about the hydroponics nutrient, there are at least three things that we need to consider. The first one, we need to find out the nutrients tolerant range. The second one, we need to determine what plant needs, just like the plant types and variety, the part that is utilized, the plant age, the antagonistic properties among the nutrients also. And the third one, we need to be able to calculating the nutrients compositions. Okay, this is the antagonistic of nutrients. So the antagonistic actions of nutrients show how overdose of the certain elements can lock out or displace another elements. So actually most nutrients usually work together, but this is not always the case. For example, if there's an excess phosphorus, it might increase the plant's nitrogen uptake. But at the same time, it will also limit the uptake of zinc, iron, and copper. So it will cause the unbalancing nutrients. So the optimal nutrients is achieved by the balancing the nutrients in the medium. And the problem is usually arise when the growers attempt to create their own custom nutrient recipe. Just like mixing different product lines from different companies. Well, actually, unless the grower have a serious scientific bent, this practice will often result in overdose and deficiency of specific nutrients. Okay. Next, we're going to show you in how to calculating the hydroponics nutrients compositions. So like the first one, we need to know the nutrient tolerant range and also the plant's need. This is for example, this is an example. The nutrient tolerant range, example for the nitrogen is 140 to 300. And on the right side is the plant's needs for the nutrients element. For example, for the leafy vegetables, they need about 250 ppm of nitrogen, and also happens to tomatoes, while for potassiums, the leafy vegetables maybe around needs 300, and the tomatoes for the fruit, it might needs more, it's like 350 and etc. So to calculating the hydroponics nutrients compositions, the first thing we need to know is the macro and macro elements atomic weight, which can be used in the calculating of hydroponics fertilizer formula. So this is one of the case, if you, as a grower, you want to create your own nutrients formula, this is several steps that you need to know. Well, of course, you can always find the guidelines and also the standard from the scientific journal, you can find easily in the internet. And you can try with the situations in your place. And I'm going to show you, this is the example how we can counting the compositions of the nutrients hydroponics fertilizer formula. Okay, this is an example. For example, there is a nutrients elements for the water spinach. This is just an example. Okay, as you see, there is the requirement elements for water spinach. And after that, okay, we have several compounds. For example, this is calcium ammonium nitrate. Okay, from this compound, we can counting from, of course, from the atomic weight and also the mass molecule of this compound. We can know that the calcium is about 18.5%, while the nitrate is 14.2, and the ammonium is 1.3. So from here, based on the table, the requirement elements for the water spinach, for example, we know that the plants need about 185 ppm, for example. You can see on the table below. So we can counting how many grams that we need for this compound, for example, to make 1,000 liter of nutrient solutions. Okay, so if we need about 185 ppm means we need about 185 grams in 1,000 liters. And it means we need about 1,000 gram or 1 kg of this compound. So for that amount, we know that the mass of nitrate is about 140 2 grams in 1,000 liter, when for the ammoniums, it's about 13 grams in 1,000 liters. Okay, so that one. Okay, that was the amounts of nitrogen we have in this first step. Okay, for the second one, we have magnesium sulfate. We're going to counting again. It's like this one. Okay, from the table, we need magnesiums about 62 ppm. So for this compound, in 1,000 liters, we need around 639 grams. And from this, because the magnesium sulfate contains of magnesium and sulfate, we need the magnesium about 62 ppm. So the amount of sulfur is about 83 grams in 1,000 liters. So you can write down in the sum below. Okay, for the next one. Okay, this one is the potassium sulfate. It's just the same, the step is the same. So we know that the sulfur, we need about 110. We already have 83, so from this compounds, we need about 147 grams. It means there are potassiums about 66 grams in 1,000 liters from this compound, and that we can put it here, 27 ppm. Okay. That's also the other amount, just like a potassium nitrate. We can arrange again. Like this one, we're counting step by step every compounds, every elements in every compounds. Okay, so as you see in the nitrogen, we have 142 plus 13 and 80 from the previous one. Okay, for the potassiums, we have 223 grams in 1,000 liter, but we still need 300 from the previous, okay? Okay, and the next is also ammonium dihydrogen phosphate, just the same, like this one by one, every compound, every elements. Can counting. You can download this slide on the LMS for the more details. In the case you want to become a nutrients formulator, because in hydroponics, actually become a nutrient formulator is a very great business, especially in Indonesia, where hydroponics become a trend. So hydroponics nutrients is just like a gas for your car. So everybody will need the hydroponics nutrients. Okay, this is just an example how we're counting. And for microelements, you can get any kinds of brand. And for this case, this is for example, we need amounts about 40 grams in 1,000 liters. Okay. Okay, we can counting and we can calculate it. Is it already fulfilled the range for example, this is for whiter Spanish. Is this enough? Okay. So these many kinds of compound, we can divide it into two stocks. Remember that the calcium cannot meet sulfate and phosphate in the stock solutions. So we can put the calcium ammonium nitrate in stock A, for example, magnesium sulfate in stock B, potassium sulfate in the stock B, potassium nitrate, you can put in A or B. So the ammonium dihydrogen phosphate is always in the B. Phosphate and sulfate is always be separated from compounds containing calcium. While microelements, actually, we can put it in A or B. Okay. For example, in 1,000 liter, we can make a 5 liter of stock A and 5 liter of stock B, and it should be diluted 200 times to make 1,000 liter. And for example, if we need the lower volume, if we need around maybe 600 liter of solutions, we can mix the stocks about 3 liter of stock A and 2 liter of stock B. Okay, actually, in Indonesia, there's a lot of brands and they have their own specialty and formulity. This is just an example. The compositions formula for the commercial hydroponics nutrients. They make their own research and they can sell this to the hydroponics grower. For example, for the newbie, the beginner of the hydroponics grower, you can buy this commercial hydroponics formula. This is an example how the formulator divided the hydroponics nutrients for the leafy vegetables, fruit, ornamental plants, and also for the tuber. So there is a slightly difference in the percentage of every element in every nutrient, hydroponics nutrients. Okay, so actually in the hydroponics nutrient solution, we also need to consider the pH in here. Be careful with the pH, but we're going to discuss more deeply in the next sessions in the maintenance. But of course, we need to consider the pH because some of the nutrients might be less available if the pH is not in the center around the neutrals. For example, it's below 6.5. Maybe phosphorus, calcium, and magnesium will be less available, while the iron, manganese, and boron will be more available. So we need to be very careful in this. For example, and another case, in a different case, if in your area there are no commercial hydroponics nutrients, maybe in the remote area, and you only have NPK. Yes, in here, some of the growers also have their own experience. Of course, it's also based on the condition of their raw water. So I'm going to show you one of the example, how the growers, they have just like a tactical idea in overcome if in case they have a problem with the commercial hydroponics nutrients, they can use this kind of NPK and potassium chloride and also some fertilizer for the leafy fertilizer. It means the fertilizer that you can provide through the leaves. And usually it's contain many micronutrients. So sometimes they make their own recipe like this one. This is for an example, an alternative for you if you it's hard for you to find the commercial hydroponics nutrients. This is just an example of 2 recipes for leafy vegetables and fruit. Okay, another issue is about organic hydroponics. Well, actually, I personally suggest you to use the commercial hydroponics nutrients. But I know that there are so many raising ideas concerning organic hydroponics for certain area which has difficulty in finding commercial hydroponics nutrients. Yes, sometimes the grower are very creative and they use organic as an alternatives to provide plant nutrients for hydroponics. So this is also become an issue. But remember, we need to remember if we want to choose in using organic fertilizer for hydroponics. I'm just going to show you an example because this is one of the example in how commercial in organic or synthetic hydroponics nutrients compared to the organic one or the combination between the organic and the synthetic one. The commercial synthetic hydroponics still has the better electrical conductivity and also better yield. And Organic or not organics actually is the same for me. So because the plant is going to absorb the nutrients in form of ions, whether it's made from organic or the synthetic nutrients. So, and for me actually, organic vegetables relatively has more nutritional balance than the organic due to the precision of the fertilizer, because you can add the exact amount of the nutrients element to meet the best plant growth and yield. Well, we cannot do this in the organic hydroponics. And you need to remember that most of countries do not allow hydroponics to be labeled as organics. And we have to know that the nutrients content in organic fertilizer is sometimes uncertain. The element, the pH, the EZ, because sometimes the ingredients might be differs from every creatings. But yes, I really understand this will become an alternative for the hydroponics, especially in the place where you cannot reach the hydroponics, the commercial hydroponics nutrients. Okay, so this is for the example of liquid organic fertilizer. I know that you might have more experience about the hydroponics nutrients, and this is one of the example in how to make a liquid organic fertilizer. Why liquid? Because we use water as tools or how we provide the nutrients for the hydroponics, because the hydroponics is soilless culture. The other one is Coenzyme. This has also become a trend. Please mind the ratio of the ingredients of Coenzyme. This has also become popular lately in Indonesia. Okay, so for hydroponics nutrients, there's several tips. I'm going to discuss more in the next sessions. The first is water quality, salinity, concentration of harmful element, and dissolved water. We need to consider about this. And the nutrient needed and their concentration in the hydroponics nutrient solutions, the nutritional balance, and also the pH. And what you need to do to use it in the circulation system, please periodically check the pH and electrical conductivity of the nutrient solutions. The volume of the nutrient solution, it should be adjusted to the number of the plants. The volume of nutrient solution must be maintained from the beginning of planting until harvest. And the water discharge is between about 1 to 2 liters per minute. Oh, this is for the NFT, especially for the NFT. Yeah, it's and for if you want to use it in an our circulating system. So make sure the nutrient solution is splashed into the substrate and stop before water drifts out from the bottom of the pots. Okay. Okay, this is also, okay. So, actually, there is another things that's now become popular lately, is about the hydroponics and aquaponics. Just as we know, the aquaponics is the combinations between we raise a fish and also plants. Okay, so the hydroponics nutrient in aquaponics means we use the water from the fish pond, for example, in aquaponics. But remember, if we use directly the water from the fish pond, it will not fill the requirement of the plants. This is one of the example from the research Yang and Kim 2020, where they use the water from the fish ponds. They use it for the basil and lettuce. It was reduced about more than 50%, 56 and 67% from the conventional hydroponics. But if we use the nutrients from the aquaculture sludge, which already treated, fermented, it's almost similar with the conventional nutrients, even it's going to be slightly different. I mean, it's still much better, the commercial one. Okay, I'm going to show you. This is one of the examples of the aquaponics in the buckets, and the other is the simple aquaponics for tilapia and celery. For the simple aquaponics, tilapia and celery, this is in our IC80. So we have two types of aquaponics. Okay, this one. The left one is without the filter. So in this case, without the filter, we only use the water from the fish barrel to we pump up and use it to watering the celery. In this case, yeah, sometimes we need to adding the commercial hydroponics nutrients or even NPK. In the above part, in the gutter, we put a substrate, actually. We put a substrate to grow the celery, and we use the water from the fish barrel. Without the filter, we need to add more nutrients element to make sure the plants grow well. While the right side is our system using a filter. So there are two containers of fish, and the first barrel, the blue one, the first one, is a filter. It's to filter the feces from the fish, and then the next barrel is used as a bacteria host. So bacteria are the little microscopic creature that do all the works in aquaponic system actually by converting the fish waste into food that the plants can absorb. Actually, without them, the system would fail and the fish will die. And the plants, of course, will not grow. So this bacteria is really important. So we need to compromise the situations to make sure that the fish grow well, the bacteria grow well, and also the plants. Okay, so this one is the system. Okay, this is for the biofilter we use. Bioball, coldness, and actually there is several more biofilter to filter the fish feces and to grow the bacteria that was going to help us increase the electrical conductivity for the aquaponics. Okay, this kind of system. And thank you. That's the end of my slides. Thank you, Ms. Nikan.
Thank you, Mrs. Fia, for an excellent presentation on the nutrition of hydroponic. Participants, I would like to remind you before we start the discussion that you have an attendance list to complete on the e-learning so that your progress during the training is properly recorded. As you may know, we are now opening the session for the discussion, and it will last until 10:30 p.m. Jakarta time zone. It means we still have, well, actually quite a long time, 47 minutes for the discussion. So please feel free to address questions or feedbacks verbally by hitting the raise hand button, or you can address it through the chat section. Okay, actually I saw one participant raised hand, but okay, well, maybe Mrs. Fia, while we are waiting for response from the participants, perhaps you can explain more about what nutrient should be used to solve the salinity issue, salinity stress on hydroponic crop. I'm sorry, Mrs. Fia, I think you are still muted.
Oh. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Ms. Nikan. Actually, salinity sometimes become an issue in hydroponics, especially when the system in the quiet, high temperature and the evapotranspiration is really high. And sometimes in case you forget to adjust your solutions to put water inside, it's become a saline. For the nutrients, I think the calculating the compositions are the same, but the things you need to do is to maintain the water quality. So for the saline area, or maybe in the area with the water source with more contaminants, you need to do more treatments such as a water filter. You use a research osmosis pump that was more. There's a lot of big farming use this kind of research osmosis pump to remove the salts and the heavy metals and any kinds of contaminants for the hydroponics. But if it's already in the system, what we need to do is always check the pH and also the electrical conductivity periodically. And if it starts to increase, we can add more water.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fia. So it is very important to maintain the water quality and also using osmosis pump to solve the salinity stress on hydroponic crop. So yeah. So Mrs. Fia, you were mentioning about a regular monitoring on a hydroponic system, but actually I am wondering, is there any automation on hydroponic system, especially in terms of water and nutrient supply?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's also become a popular nowadays, especially in the hydroponics grower. They use the IoT, the Internet of Things, and how to control their conditions of their installation. So they have the automations in adjusting the pH and also the nutrients by putting some sensor on the solutions barrel or container, and they can just use your Android or cell phone to control it. That's what most of the farmers, for the growers, I think the big growers, they now start to use the IoT. Not only the grower, I think a few last months, yeah, we know that some of the hydroponics grower Bali or even in here in Lembang, they also already use the IoT. Yes, now it's become popular and it will be less labor also. It's more effective.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, especially since a hydroponic system can be established in urban areas, so it is possible to use an IoT since internet access is more feasible on urban area. Perhaps since we also have Mr. Abdurrahim presents on this Zoom meeting, perhaps Mr. Abdurrahim, do you have comment regarding the usage of IoT on hydroponic system, please? Okay, well, maybe while we are waiting from Mr. Abdurrahim, we can move to, we can request Mr. Clifford Martinez Bellis. It appears he has a question or feedback. Please, Mr. Clifford, unmute your microphone.
Yes, hello, and thank you for the excellent presentation. My question is in regards to opportunities for premium on our hydroponic products. You said that it is not classified, it cannot be classified as an organic product, and I understand because of the pure nutrients that we use. But what other production system or what other agro-eco friendly labels can we classify our organic produces, sorry, our hydroponic produces as? And do you know if in Indonesia or in your region, if there's a label or additional premium because of hydroponic products that may appear eco-friendly?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clifford. Just hydroponics is more popular because maybe the historical reason also that they use synthetic one. So yes, even if we use organics liquid fertilizer, for example, well, most of the buyer will not really believe that was from the hydroponics, because the hydroponics, why it's actually just like, because there's a difference appearance or the performance of the plants itself. So for organics, it's mostly we use the soil where the things where all of the parties inside of the soil was used. But in hydroponics, historically, we're not using the organic. So even it's also debatable, maybe about 10 to 15 years ago, it's also become a hot topic whether if we can use that in a hydroponics system. But yes, if we use kinds of research, is going to be different. So I think it's not, because the thing is the hydroponics was usually used to make the plants have their best or optimal performance and yield, while in organic, we're not sure about that. So most of this hydroponics, the fanatic one or the organic one, the fanatic one will not mix this up. But in Indonesia, we have a board to certify the organic. Yeah, and mostly it was grown in a conventional farm using the organic fertilizer, and even the area should be not using the synthetic fertilizer for several periods. So it's quite strict. And yeah, the certifications usually, I think it's not much. I mean, maybe there is no one from the hydroponics was reported or want them to be certified as organic, because it's quite strict in here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pia, for the explanation. Mr. Clifford, do you have further response to Mrs. Pia?
Well, so are there other certification apart from organic certification that we can classify or organic or hydroponic produces as that would allow it to get a premium on it? It's still safe. It does not affect the environment as such. It reduces deforestation and degradation. It reduces the application of pesticides. In Indonesia, is there any labels or any certification that is allowed or given that allows for a premium on your product?
Well, as long as I know, up to now, the certification for organic is still in the conventional one, as long as I know. Because in hydroponics, we still use this kind of things like a plastic. The gutter is made from plastic, all of the modern things. And, most of the assessor will not believes that there's something that grown from the hydroponics using organics is classified as organic. But for the conventional, yes. But I think I still not have an experience because I never know that the hydroponics is also classified as organic. But if in a certain cases, in the cases that the growers cannot reach the artificial or the synthetic hydroponics nutrients, some of them are trying to use the organic, but they never claim themselves as organic hydroponics or organic vegetables. Most of the farmers, they will not claim themselves as an organic grower if they're using a hydroponics. So for the decree or maybe the rules about that, yeah, it's still mainly for the growers in the open field. That was special for the organics. But yes, we have the board of the organic certified.
Thank you, Ms. Fia. So for Mr. Clifford, do you have further question? Or maybe you want to share the experience of Belize in certification of organic hydroponic, please?
Yes.
There isn't in Belize, there isn't certified organic in Belize. And certification we rely on a regional certification organization to allow our product to receive that label and then export. So in Belize itself, there's not a registered organic certifier, but there is one regionally. And when we're not able to produce organic, and again, a lot of organic produces are done because of the additional prices associated with organic production. When we're not able to do that, we have another regional classification for eco-friendly produce. And that allows an additional product, that adds an additional value to your product, and it's a niche. Especially in Europe, it's a label that's accepted and financed in Europe. So your produce is eco-friendly, you get an additional value there. And then as long as you can meet the regulations in terms of reduce pesticide application, reduce, like I mentioned before, reduce deforestation and degradation, and you also have marginalized and impoverished people working in your facility. These are additional values that are recognized. So I know that in Belize, for example, we have two excellent models or two excellent facilities or units that are recognized for their hydroponic production of herbs and lettuce. And these are given locally. These are given preferences because of the quality that they have. And so my follow-up question would have been whether or not you in Indonesia, the hydroponic produces are given an additional value or an additional, if so you're saying there's no certification for hydroponic, but does the produce give a better quality than the conventional produced lettuce, for example? That would have been my follow-up question. So let me repeat, would a hydroponic lettuce get more money to the farmer than a conventional produced lettuce?
Okay, Mrs. Fia, feel free to respond.
Okay, thank you. Actually, in Indonesia, for the eco-friendly product, we have the certifying board, another one. We call it Prima. Prima 3, 2, and 1 is the highest. That was require the GAP and also the eco-friendly, how they reduce the use of pesticides and also eco-friendly cultivation technique. But organic is become another segment of the vegetables policy. I mean, the customer, they have the different targets of customer. And also the hydroponics is another different target of customer, because in Indonesia, hydroponic is mostly used for the high value vegetables, just like lettuce. There are several variety or type of lettuce that was only sold in the supermarket, something like that. And it was labeled as organic. The appearance is different, how they harvest is different. They even include its roots to prove it that it was from hydroponics. You can see from the very clean and white roots. So, and the appearance is also very clean and good, because hydroponics also considered as a more nutritious balance, because we added the exact amounts of nutrients for the hydroponics. But for organics, it's another segment. More customers also really want the organic vegetables, which been planting in a very eco-friendly, using all of the organic things. And it also has a specific board that's going to certify these kinds of vegetables. Even it's also sold in the supermarket, but it's kinds of a different segment. Some of the vegetable was labeled as a hydroponics, and the other part is labeled as organic. And for the prima, it's just like in the middle one. It just used for the conventional vegetables grower. It means it's also for the open field grower of vegetables. Of course, you need to have a good quality and following the GAP procedure. And there is a certain board in the provisions level that's going to certify your product. And it's going to classify in the Prima 3, Prima 2, and the Prima 1 is the highest. And usually this level is also needed if you want to export your product, especially in horticulture abroad. So there is several requirements, and yeah, it's different consumer target, but maybe the government want to what you like, just like they want to help them to help the customer to have the classify and certify it. And sometimes in here we also put a barcode on the label of the packaging of the vegetables. Even in our IC80 also we put a barcode. So if you scan that barcode, you will understand the history of these products. And even if there is certifications on that, you're going to check and you're going to see that. So maybe the governments want to accommodate these various customers. So yeah, there is a different segment and different certifications for every product in Indonesia.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Fia, for the comprehensive explanation. We can say that the usage of the hydroponic or the conventional growing method of vegetables really relies heavily on the preference of the consumer. Maybe Mr. Clifford, would you like to add more comment, please?
I'm satisfied with the response. I would like to engage, but if only if there's nobody else asking any other question. My last question would be in terms of not just quality, but reducing the risk of those diseases that are associated with vegetable production and herbs production. I know, for example, in the US and in Europe, there was a scare with some of our produces with bacterial and fungal infection. What in Indonesia? Okay, so I heard you say that Prima is for eco-friendly, but under hydroponic, is there certification for the hydroponic produces that would ensure for sanitized products or healthy, low risk products without diseases, without, I believe at one time salmonella was one of the leading problems in Europe with exporting these produces. But in Indonesia, do you also have a body that certifies the hydroponic produces, especially those that are destined for exportation?
Okay, thank you. Actually, hydroponics also able to classify as prima when they want to, when the growers want to export the products. In IC80, we also dealing with the export of vegetables, right? We also we have cold storage in here, and we exported some of the vegetables from the farmer in the surrounding of this IC80. Yeah, it's just like a sweet potato also, yeah. And not far from here, there is a huge hydroponic farm that also export their product, and they label it also in Prima. There is an issue about the bacteria contaminations, for example, the salmonella. And yeah, it's really close related with the organic actually. So for the hydroponics, of course, we are able to manage or control more, especially in the pest and disease controls. It must usually the high value of vegetable was put in a very clean and sterile greenhouse. So most of the hydroponics grower, especially when they put it inside the greenhouse, is not use pesticide as many as the conventional grower. So yes, of course, it's going to be exported. If the hydroponics vegetables want to be exported, they need to have a certified as a prima. Whether it's prima 1, prima 2, or prima 3, it's actually it's based on the destination's country. Some of country prima 2 is enough, but for the specific country, they want the prima 1. It means already all of the product is high quality and really eco-friendly, and also be following the GAP steps. So yeah, for the hydroponics, also able to put in the prima for export. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fia. Perhaps maybe other participants, do you have questions regarding the nutrition of hydroponic? Please, we still have 22 minutes for the discussion. You can put your questions or feedbacks on the chat section, or you can raise hand and I will unmute your microphone.
Or maybe we can play a video, Ms. Nikan?
Sure, Mrs. Fia, please.
Okay. Gotcha.
How to make hydroponic nutrition. Tools and materials. Measuring cup. pH meter. TDS meter. 2 buckets. Jerry can. Stirring stick. Marker. Nutrient A. Nutrient B. Water. The steps. Prepare the bucket. Put a mark on the bucket for later. The size of the nutrient solution A is 5 liters and nutrient B is 5 liters. Put the water on the bucket. First, check the pH of the water using a pH meter. The pH of the water must be neutral on 5.5 till 7. Then check the density using a TDS meter. Open the nutrient A. In nutrient A there is FeEDTA. Keep it first. Pour nutrient A into the bucket. And add the FeEDTA. Add water until it reaches the marked 5 liters water limit. Stirred using a stirring rod until homogeneous. Move the nutrient that has been mixed well into jerry cans of water. Nutrient A is ready to use. Open the nutrient B. Pour nutrient B into the bucket. Add water into the bucket till 5 liters limit. Stirred using a stirring rod until homogeneous. Move the nutrient B that has been mixed well into jerry cans of water. Nutrient B is ready to use. To apply nutrient solution A and B, mix 1 liter of solution A and 1 liter of solution B with 200 liters of water. Nutrient solution is ready for use by mixing the nutrient solution with water according to plant needs.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nikan.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fia. Well, I suppose the video is already finished, Mrs. Fia, or you suggest the participants to watch it on the e-learning?
Yeah, maybe participants can watch more videos in the LMS. Or maybe the participants want to play a simple game.
Oh, sure, Mrs. Pia, please.
I'm going to share to you in the chat room. Okay, you can try to play this game.
Okay, Mrs. Pia, how many minutes do you allocate for participants to finish the game?
Maybe about 10 minutes.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. for participants, I would like to remind you that the link is case sensitive. Therefore, you must follow the lower and the upper case in order to be directed to the website of the game. And we still have 2 minutes left to finish the game. Okay, Mrs. Via, it's already 10 minutes. Would you like to share the result of the game? Maybe you can share screen through your laptop.
Okay, I will share screen the result of this game. And the winner is Miss Sylvia. You're the first one. Congratulations. Yay.
Congratulations, Miss Sylvia from Colombia.
Yes, and the second one is Mr. Wilfredo, and the third one is Miss Rachel. Congratulations.
Congratulations, participants.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Mrs. Via, there's already one new question from Mr. Fred from Belize. He's asking, does the high cost of fertilizers still make hydroponic profitable in Indonesia?
Thank you. In Indonesia, yes, it's profitable. Well, actually, in Indonesia, the hydroponics nutrients, I think it's considered still affordable for the growers. And some of the big growers also, they have their own formula for their hydroponics fertilizer. And for the big farm, yeah, they have their own formulators. So I think it's still affordable. And as you can see, nowadays it's become a trend, and a lot of hydroponic grower now here in Indonesia, and they can access many markets such as supermarket and even export. So yes, it's profitable in Indonesia. That's why there's more growers of hydroponics now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Via. Therefore, it is the creativity of the growers in formulating the fertilizer which makes hydroponics still cost effective for them. Perhaps maybe, yeah, still related question from Mr. Derian from Costa Rica. Can the nutrients be homemade? Maybe you can explain more details about, perhaps there is one grower that you may know in formulating his own nutrient.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the nutrients can be homemade, of course, just like in my slides. Some of the grower, actually, we have some colleagues that they become a formulator. Of course, if you want to make the commercial hydroponics nutrients, you need to find the compounds. The many compounds, just like I mentioned before, there are so many like, calcium, ammonium nitrate, magnesium sulfate, and etc. Of course, if you want to use this, you need to buy these kinds of compounds in large amounts. And one of my colleagues, he is also one of the formulator for the hydroponics nutrients. At the first time, he was joined with his friends, and they make a small research. Of course, they have to bout the compounds, and until finally they got maybe several variants of the hydroponics nutrients. But if you are the new growers of hydroponics and you can afford these kinds of synthetic compounds, just like magnesium sulfate, potassium nitrate, and etc. Yeah, and some of the compounds is high risk. You can make by yourself using certain fertilizer, commercial fertilizers, just like an NPK, just like I show you. Actually, this recipe is made by an extension workers, and he made this as a homemade hydroponics nutrients. Of course, it's not as good as the commercial hydroponics using the synthetic compound that I mentioned before, but I think it's quite easy and it can be used. Okay, let me share again. Okay. For an example. I'm going to share. Yeah, so yes, actually it could be homemade. Okay, this is one of the example of the homemade hydroponics nutrients using NPK for the easiest alternative in case we cannot reach the commercial neutral hydroponics. This is one of the example. But if you can afford to buy the synthetic compounds by yourself, of course, you can make your own formula at your place. This is just an example. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Via. Mrs. Via, I'm actually curious since in hydroponic we are producing food, vegetables, fruits, and things that will be edible for humans. And you mentioned that it is possible for someone to formulate his or her own nutrients. Is there any threshold or limitation on what kind of ingredients that the formulator should not use in inventing his or her own nutrient?
Yeah, for the commercial formulator, they can use many kinds of compound, but some of the compound might be a little bit critical. Just like a potassium nitrate, I think it's some of the compound is quite explosive, of course. So to get these kinds of compound, the formulator, of course, they need to have a kinds of license, if I'm not mistaken, from the police. So they have to mention why they have to buy these kinds of compounds. Of course, is to make the hydroponics nutrients. But the formulator is also already counting, based on the research also, that the range of the tolerance of the plants and also the compositions, we're going to make sure that it will not be harm for the one who will consume the vegetables. So yeah, I think that was my response, Ms. Niken.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Via. A final question from Mr. Clifford, again from Bellis. He's asking whether it is possible to provide a menu of the organic fertilizers used in Indonesia. I'm wondering, Mrs. Fia, would you prefer to explain it verbally right now, or perhaps it is already in on the module?
Excuse me, menu organ. Excuse me, Miss Niken, can you repeat?
Yes, Chris. So Mr. Clifford is asking whether it is possible to maybe a list of the organic fertilizers used in Indonesia.
I'm sorry, I don't put it in the module because since this was hydroponics nutrients, so I'm more focused on the hydroponics nutrients. But for the organic fertilizer, I think there is so many recipe in how making the organic compounds. But one of the popular right now is just like an ecoenzyme that I mentioned before. It's become a popular against right now. And it's also can be used in a hydroponics, especially in the aquaponics, if I'm not mistaken, because this ecoenzyme is acid. So the pH is very low. So it's going to help to compromise the pH of the fish and the plants. But for ecoenzyme, there is a strict ratio, 3:1:10. That was the strict ratio for the ecoenzyme. While the other organic compounds, there are so many they can make from the manure, the cow manure, the rabbit manure, goat manure, and they can make also the micro-local organism made from the rice waste or made from the vegetables and fruit peel. Yeah, something like that. Too many, so many, and too many recipe. And I think most of the grower or the organic grower usually they have their own recipe based on their experience. So yeah, for the list, I think it's too many. I cannot classify and I cannot put it one by one because it's not standard. So most of them are making their own recipe based on their experience.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fia. So I can say that it is very important for the grower to keep trying and learn on finding the right organic fertilizer that is suitable for their garden. Okay, since it is already actually it's already past the time frame for your presentation, perhaps Mrs. Fia, do you have final comments before we conclude this discussion on nutrition of hydroponic? Please, Mrs. Fia, the floor is yours.
Okay, I thank you very much for your kind attentions and our constructive discussions. And I hope this subject, the nutrition of hydroponic, will be beneficial to all of you and give you an additional insight about the hydroponics nutrients, and hopefully was able to increase your enthusiasm in hydroponics. So good luck, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fia. I'm also glad you have sharing your knowledge and expertise on nutrition of hydroponic, and I wish much success for your future endeavors, and of course for all the participants who stay engaged during the discussion. Honorable participants, please give your feedback on the lecture and discussion session of Mrs. Fiadini through the e-learning evaluation form and return to the Zoom meeting after you have done. Right now, we will listen to a lecture on seedling, planting, and maintenance by Mrs. Sani Hanifa. Let me begin reading her brief profile first. Mrs. Sani already has over 15 years of experience teaching agricultural human resources. She is an agronomist and she has an extensive professional experience in horticulture. She is now working as a lecturer at the ICAT of Lembang under the auspice of the Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Indonesia. Mrs. Ani holds a master's degree in agronomy from the Universitas 11 Maret, and she will share in this training her knowledge on seedling, planting, and maintenance. Mrs. Ani, you could begin your presentation now.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Niken. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to meet you all in this beautiful day. Same with Ms. Pia. I'm one of lecturer in ICAT Lembang. This is the last but not least presentation on online training course on hydroponic. Now we will discuss about seedling, planting, and maintenance. Okay. Sorry. Okay. 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 I'm sorry. The objective of this learning after this session, I hope the participants expect to understand about the importance of seedling, planting, and maintenance in hydroponics. As we know, hydroponic growing process is from the first is from seed. We put the seed into the sponge and wait for sprout. And after the sprout, a leaf-eating vegetable will need about 3 up to 10 days to sprout. For eating plant, will need longer, and then become a seedling. When it grows in certain period, it needs to be transplanted. When transplant to planting day, then the seedling transplant to planting hole with sponge together, or we can use rockwool. And then it grows. After 30 up to 60 days, the vegetables are ready for harvest. The first is about seedling. As we know, the seedling is an initial activity in the field that aims to prepare seed ready for plant. In this picture, we can see we sow the seed and that will become a seedling. There is a question why we need a seedling. The first the seedling method, it can optimize plant growth and also easy to care for when growing early planting. And seedling makes plants quick adapt to new environment after transplanting. And the last is seedling can make easier to plant sorting process between the healthy seedling and not healthy seedling. This is several things need to consider before we cultivating plants hydroponically. The first is including plants according to geographical conditions. We have to pay attention to geographical conditions related to the growth and development of plants to be cultivated. Some types of plants require certain geographical conditions for optimal growth and development. And also, we have to consider about climatic condition, because climate is an external factor that needs to be considered when choosing hydroponics plants and adapt the plant to the prevailing climate. For example, it is necessary to avoid planting chilies and tomatoes in the rainy season because the plant's roots easily when exposed to large amount of water. And the third is plants with economic value. The success of growing plants hydroponically is a pleasant thing. The thing to consider when choosing plants for hydroponic is to consider the economic value. It is better to choose vegetable plants that are in demand by the community so that it is easier to market them. And the last is the selection of quality seeds. The success of hydroponic cultivation depends on the selection of seed. If you use a quality plant seed and provide maximum care, of course, this increases the opportunity to benefit from hydroponics. There are several things need to consider before you cultivating in hydroponic. Here are some plants that can grow in various hydroponic system. We can see in the picture there is a water spinach in the FD system, also spinach and mustard. And also we have pak choy, kailan, and lettuce can also grow in the FD system. Here we can see chili plant, paprika, tomato in drip irrigation system. And then we have a watermelon, a strawberry, cucumber, melon in drip irrigation system. And then we can see in NFT system, we have lettuce, melon, and tomato. Also, we have celery, orchid, and tomato in water culture system. And in wheat system, we can plant roses, pak choy, and water spinach. And the last is aeroponic. In the picture, we can see growing roots hanging in the air. This aeroponic is suitable for leafy vegetable crops and tuber. We can see potato, lettuce, and water spinach. But before we sow the seed, we have to prepare land for nursery site. Because we have to choose a location for nursery house, because we must determine a safe place for seedling so that the seeds grow properly. What is a nursery house? A nursery house is an area in which new saplings or a new seedling are raised and nourished until they are ready for transplanting. Before we sow seed, we have to sterilize of the nursery house first. First, we prepare 5 milliliters of carbolic acid per liter of water. Then for 10 liters, we will need about 50 milliliters of water and stir it evenly. And the solution for into the sprayer and spray it all over the nursery house. Wait for a day before we can use for nourish the seed. And after that, we can choose a variety of seed, like lettuce, tomato, chili, potato, or what the seed that you will cultivate in hydroponic system. Here's some characteristic of quality seeds, such as we have to know the variety certified or labeled from the seed we are going to plant. And also we have to know the purity level of the seed is have to reach 98%. And we preferably the seed growth or germination is above 80%. And also the seeds must be clean and uniform, and the yield potential is high. The seeds is healthy, means are free from fungal infection and free from pests. And we have to check the expired date of the seeds. And then before we sow the seed, we have to soaking the seed in tap water before planting, or we call it seed treatment. This is for breaking the dormant seed to speed up germination and seed sorting. In the picture, we see the viable seed is sink, and the not viable seed is floating. We have to remove the floating one. For a soft seed like water spinach, or lettuce, we have to soak in up to 15 minutes. But for hard seed like chili, pepper bell, or watermelon, we have to soak it in 1 hour. It is widely assumed that a viable seeds will sink in cold water, but the seed floats aren't viable. That assumption is not valid because some seeds are flat and some seeds have aged, both flat seeds and seeds with age may float because of their shape, but they are still viable. Okay, and then after that we have to prepare the growing media for the seed. Media is a substance or material in which something exists or grows from the soil and other materials for plant growth. The organic, okay. Here's some characteristic of growing media. The medium must be able to store the water content so that plants get enough nutrients from the water content stored in the media. And the medium has a low structure, fertile, and can absorb water well, and also has a low salt content. Not easy to change shape, or it is not easy to become dry when the temperature in the room changes, and does not have pests or disease that can interfere with plant growth. That is a characteristic of growing medium. And here's some alternative media from the organic media and inorganic media. Organic growing media are material used for components of living organisms, while inorganic is a medium that uses material with high mineral content and comes from weathering process in the earth forms. This is an example of organic media like husk charcoal, fern, moss, and cocoa peat. Unorganic media, we can use hydrogel, sand, gravel, sponge, zeolite, or vermiculite. Here's some example. This is a rock wool. Rock wool is a growing medium that is widely used by hydroponic farmers. This planting medium has advantages over other media, especially in terms of ratio of the composition of water and air that can be stored by this growing medium. This is advantages and disadvantages of rock wool. The advantages is environmentally friendly, do not contain pathogens, able to hold water 14 times the capacity of the soil, can minimize the use of disinfectant, and also can optimize the role of fertilizer. The disadvantages is has a light density, the presence of wind can fly the rock wool. And then we have husk charcoal. The husk charcoal is the skin paddy rice or rice husk, which has undergone potassium combustion process or incomplete combustion. Here's some advantages and disadvantages of husk charcoal. The advantages is the price is relatively cheap. The material is easy to obtain. The weight is light. The media is more sterile, and it has a high porosity. But there is disadvantages rarely available on the market, and it can only twice. And here, coco peat. Coco peat is a planting medium that has a high water absorption and can store more water and then it's stored in the soil. But coco peat can absorb water with high absorption and a stable level of 5 up to 6.8 pH. The use of coco peat should be mixed with husk charcoal with a ratio of 50-50 to increase the oxygen supply. Increase oxygen will increase aeration so that it has a good effect on root growth. Coco peat good for weak system installation. And then we have Hydroton. Hydroton is a hydroponic growing medium that is famous in Germany. It's round shape and has no angle with ensure the plant will not be damaged because it comes into contact with hydroton. Here's some advantages and disadvantages of hydroton. The advantages is hydroton is a high porosity level, so that rarely the occurrence of a blockage and able to maintain plant growth because always oxidized, environmentally friendly and renewable, and also reusable and easy to use. The disadvantages is hydroton has low water conductive power and the price is relatively costly and can cause blockage of a pipe. And we have sponge. Sponge is a hydroponic planting medium that has many pores that are draining within water to the roots plants. A sponge media has very light weight, so that when applied, it will be easy to move and place anywhere. The lightweight owned by sponge as a planting medium does not require ballast anymore because after watering, the sponge will absorb water so that the plant will become upright. The advantages that they can absorb water and withstand high enough water uptake for up to 2 weeks. And the disadvantages that it is not durable because the material is easily destroyed. And then we have hydrogel. Hydrogels come from the word hydro, meaning it's water, which means a gel that can absorb and store water hundreds of times its weight. Hydrogel function is to absorb water and nutrients for plants and release it slowly according to the plant's need. The use of this type of planting media is easy and efficient because there is no need to replace water or cultivate. Generally, hydrogel in hydroponic planting media is not for breeding, but usually used to grow ornamental plants indoor because hydrogel have a variety of colors and shape. Therefore, this planting medium is commonly used for the beauty of ornamental plants placed in the workspace or living room. Okay, here's some tools we need to sowing the seed. The first is a nursery house, a place for a new seedling are raised and nourished until they are ready for transplanting. And also we need a tissue as a place to dry soak a seed. Glass we use to soak the seed. Cutter are used to cut a rock wool into small cube. Ruler used to limit the pieces to rock wool. And we need a tray. Tray are used to store rock wool that has been cut as a seedling container. We need a toothpicks. Use a tool to pick up seed to be germinated. Also, a seeding tray, commonly a seedling tray or seed pot tray, is temporary container for planting seed or seedling for a certain time before being moved and planted in the next planting medium. And we need some material like a seed, rock wool, husk charcoal, and abimic nutrition. Here's some example seed germination on rock wool. Here is the step. The first, we have to soak the seed, and we move the not viable seed on the floating throwaway, and the good seed are drained on a tissue. After that, we cut the rock wool with a size 2 up to 2 centimeters into the cube, and then we put the rock wool into the tray. And don't forget to wet the rock wool by spraying with water using a sprayer. Okay, and then after the rock wool is wet, we make a hole in the rock wool with a toothpicks, and the dried seed are transferred to the rock wool. After finish, we put the tray. Seeds are stored in the nursery house. And then we have to cover with a plastic to speed up the germination process. After 2 up to 3 days, the seed usually germinate, then the lid is open. After the early leaf come out, fertigation is carried out with a nutritional solution with a dose 2 up 3 milliliter per liter. And don't forget to always maintain the humidity and cleanliness in the nursery house. And then we have how to seed germination in husk charcoal. The first, we need to prepare the tray and the husk charcoal and put it in tray. And after that, okay, and after that, after fulfill the tray with husk charcoal, then flatten it, watering it evenly so that the media gets wet. And doing vertical perforation by stacking the seed tray and then pressing it. After that, insert the seed into the planting hole using tweezer, and then cover them again with husk charcoal. After that, we water the seed tray again. Arrange the seed tray in the nursery, then cover them with used soap. And after that, open the cover with when it has been 7 days or 2 early leaves appear. After that, the vegetable seed grow 2 up to 3 pairs of leaf for leafy vegetable and 4 up to 5 pairs of leaf for fruit vegetable. The seed are ready to move the hydroponic installation. And don't forget to maintenance at the nursery. Stage using husk charcoal carried out using fertilizer as is done in a nursery using rock wool, and also use foliar fertilizer at a dose of 5 grams per 10 liters of water, or NPK at a dose of 15 grams per 10 liters of water done at the age of 3 up to 4 weeks of the nursery. And how about if you want to sow the seed directly on the hydroponic installation, you can, without, you don't have to transplanting the seedling up to the installation of hydroponic. Here's some example. We can directly sow the seed at the gutter, like in the picture. Or we can sow the seed in wick system. And we can sow the seed directly in the water culture system. The first, we have to prepare a container filled with nutrient solution and cover with a styrofoam board and put the rock wool in the planting hole. Let it get wet. After the rock wool is wet, we put the seed into the rock wool and we wait until harvest time. And don't forget to maintenance it. Okay. And after the seedling, we have to move to planting. Planting is the activity of transferring seed from the nursery to the planting area to obtain product from cultivated plants. Once the seeds are ready, it's time we move planting to hydroponic installation. What is the tool we need? We need a net pot or bucket. To replace the net pot, we can use a plastic cup. Also, we have to prepare the installation in the picture, like in FT, DFT, or whatever you want to the installation. And here you can grow seedling in vertical hydroponic installation, bucket installation. And this is picture hydroponic installation for use material, use plastic cup or like bamboo. Or here some picture of from a cloth bucket and a bottle. And then we need material, seedling, rock wool, hydroponic nutrient, and also flannel if we use a net pot. The first thing to do is seed selection before we planting. Good quality seeds are essential, so they are easier to maintain and produce optimal yield. The best seeds are those that look vigorous, fresh, and physically good. And the age is sufficient, like lettuce and pak choy seed have been sowing for 14 up to 21 days. While chilies and tomatoes have been sown for 21 up to 30 days. Here's some picture of planting of a lettuce in NFT and DFT. We have to prepare the net pot and put the flannel inside. And then we put a plant that have been wrapped with rock wool into the net pot on an FT system. And also we can, in the picture is planting tomato in the substrate in husk charcoal. Put the roasted husk into the poly bag up to quarter of the head of the poly bag. Put the plant seed in a poly bag right in the middle until it is close to the base of the stem. Insert the drip irrigation hose or PE hose into the husk. This is picture of a drip irrigation. And the last is we're talking about maintenance. Maintenance is the treatment of plants and their environment so that plants grow healthy and normal. Okay. The first is we have to control the pH and nutrition. We have to nutrition checks, added nutrition, or we have to nutrition replacement and making nutrition. We should see nutrition concentration and pH denotation. We have to check your pH level at least every day to maintain proper growing environment for your plant. And watch plants for changes. If the leaves turn yellow, you have to adjust or increase fertilizer. You will need a pH meter to measure the pH level in the water, both before and after adding nutrition, so that plants can grow more optimally. And also we need TDS to measure the total solid or particle dissolved in water, and also EC meter to measure the concentration of the hydroponic nutrient solution. After that, here's some table. This is guidance for nutrient density and acidity, the concentration of nutrient solution in the plant needs. In early planting, usually the plant needs 200 up to 400 ppm, and equal in EC is 1.2. On 14 days after plant, it's 600 up to 800, equal in EC 1.5 up to 2. In 30 days after plant, we need 800 up to 1000, or equal in EC 2 up to 2.5. In the generative stage, you need 12,000 up, equal in 2.5 up to 3 EC. For the acidity of pH of nutrient solution is the range 5.8 up to 6.5. And don't forget to set the lighting. If we have excess sunlight, you should installing a paranet or shade net, because it will cause wilting of plants and bitter taste of vegetable. But if lack of sunlight, we move it into a place that has sufficient light, also installing additional LED lights, but it will result in a waste of electricity. First, lack of sunlight can cause plants to wilt, etiolate, and grow are less than optimal. You can use a digital look meter. Also, you have to check the temperature and humidity. We can use a thermohygrometer. For the temperature, you can use a fan to control the temperature in the greenhouse. Also, you should place the tank in a shady place to control the temperature in the nutrient tank. Also, for humidity, you can, in the high humidity, if humidity is high, the absorption nutrient will reduce. If the humidity is low, the plant will be wilting. The solution of that is to install paranet and sprinkles in the greenhouse. Here's some picture. In ICT Lembang, to maintain temperature and humidity, you have to install the blower in greenhouse. And after that, we should check the installation regularly. We should check care of cleanliness. Clean means no moss. And we have to make a schedule washing installation after harvest time. And make sure there's no leakage. If there is a leakage, apply adhesive or parallel glue. This is a picture when someone clean a tank at least once every week or to minimize algae growth. But to remember, you have to clean the tank after you harvest. And the important thing is you should control the pest and disease. We can use using organic pesticide or use traps. Organic pesticide like extract neem leaves, soursoap leaves. It can adjust to your country. We can use traps. We can make it by ourselves by find the bottle with light color yellow and smear the board with glue. We call gluemon, insect glue. And in the picture we can see this is someone has to identify pests and disease periodically. And the last is harvest. Harvesting is done after the plants enter the harvest time or have met the harvest criteria. The harvest time and criteria for each commodity are different. Here's some table for guidance, hydroponic plants, harvest timetable. There is a mustard green, Spanish lettuce, and so on. harvesting, we need to what time to harvest, because each plant has a different harvest period, and do the harvest when the weather is not too hot, generally in the afternoon, in order to reduce the risk of wilting and damage to plants. And how to harvest? There is two ways for leafy vegetable: harvest with roots and without roots. The advantages harvest with roots. We can make the condition of vegetables stay fresh and last longer shelf life. Also, and ensure plant certainty from hydroponics. But the disadvantages, it is necessary to reseed immediately. But for crops without roots, the advantages is safe on crop usage and can harvest faster. This advantages is vegetable storage cannot last long. Okay. Here I will explain about potato nursery, because potato nursery not from seed, but from the seedling is from a plantlet we grow in vitro or tissue culture. We will need tools like DFT installation, ECNTDs method, pH method, tray, tweezer, and we have materials, potato plant, AB nutrition, hash charcoal, alcohol, insecticide, chlorox, and water. Here, I'm explain a little bit. Potato propagation comes from shoots meristem grown by tissue culture or in vitro. In vitro, not from a seed. In the picture, you can see age of potato plantlets in the bottle that are 2 months old. Okay. And before we sow the seed, we have to sterilize the greenhouse and the FT installation first. After that, we prepare the growing media, put in tray. And then open the bottle and remove the plantlet. We call the seed potato is plantlet, and clean the plantlet. After that, we cut the plantlet and plant into the growing media. Place the tray in GFT installation. And maintenance, we use other mix. And also we should check the solution is easy regularly. In 14 up to 21 days, it's ready for cutting. After that, the mother plants derived from plantlet can be cutting up to 3 times. The time from cuttings 1 to second cuttings and third cutting, each will an interval of 14 up to 21 days. We can cut the seedling for plantlet and dip into the growth hormone and plant into seedling tray contain media and maintain the cutting as in the nursery. After the plant age is 21 day after plant, or it already have 5 up to 7 leaves, the plant was able to move into aeroponic container. Here is the picture. The first, we have to remove the plant from tray, and it was clean from harsh charcoal, and then dip into fungicide and put styrofoam using rock wool or sponge. And then we put the plant in the aeroponic container. And then don't forget to maintenance, check the installation condition periodically. So the installation not clogged, or the nozzle not clogged. And also carry out the pest and disease control by spraying insecticide if needed, depend on the plant's condition. And the last, we can harvest the potato tubers after 75 or 90 days after planting and ready to be used as genol seeds or mini tuber after storage and further treatment. Thank you. That's all my presentation. Maybe I can hear how about seedling planting and maintenance in your country. Thank you, Ms. Niken.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sunny, for an excellent presentation on seedling, planting, and maintenance in hydroponic. So participants, we are now opening the discussion and it will open until 11:30 p.m. Jakarta time zone. It means we have 15 minutes left for the discussion. And of course, for participants who perhaps have questions related to the previous topics on nutrition of hydroponics or maybe on installation of hydroponics, this is actually the right opportunity before we conclude the training.
Or maybe we play video.
Sure, Mrs. Sunny, please.
Maintenance for the hydroponic system includes checking the electrical conductivity, pH and temperature of the nutrient solution. For the deep flow technique system, we can check the electrical conductivity directly on the nutrient solution flowing in the gutter. For drip irrigation systems that use substrates, in addition to checking the condition of the solution, it is also necessary to check the drip hose to prevent clogging. Improper nutrient solution conditions can cause plant death. The plant maintenance is carried out according to the needs of each plant type. Example, for celery, we can remove the old leaves to maintain its growth. While for melon hydroponic, we can do leaf, flower and fruit thinning as well as pest and disease control to get optimal yields.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sunny, for the very interesting video. So new question has arrived from Miss Rachel from Panama. She's asking, is the aeroponic system the only system that can plant potato? Will the other tubers crop be the same?
Okay, thank you for the question, Miss Rachel. For the aeroponic system, we can produce only mini tuber potato. For we call genol. But for G1 and G2, we have to plant in the drip irrigation or with a substrate. For other tuber, I think we need to cultivate in drip irrigation with substrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sunny. So we can say that the size of the tube really depends on the type, type of hydroponic system that we are using. Okay, for participants, we still have 9 minutes left for the discussion. Please feel free to drop your question or feedbacks on the chat section, or you may address it orally by pressing the raise hand button and I will unmute your microphone. For Mrs. Sunny, while we are waiting for responses from participants, perhaps you could explain in more details about the role of cocoa peat substrate for yield or quality of the crops in hydroponic.
I think cocoa peat is good for a drip irrigation, but rockwool is for seedling. I think rockwool and cocoa peat can good for other crops. Maybe Miss Pia can add some.
Yeah, so for cocoa peat, yeah, it's one of the prerequisite for to become a media for hydroponics. It should be inert, and it can support the plants itself, and it's not contains any soil. So in our country, cocoa peat is one of the best options since it was also cheap, and it's really good for the aerations for the root system. So yes, it's really good to support the plant's growth, especially in a substrate hydroponic. Yeah, the same as when we use the rice husk charcoal, but now cocoa peat has become more options since there are many supplies for this substrate.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sunny and Mrs. Pia, for the response. So we can say that cocoa peat contributes positively to the productivity of hydroponic crops. One more question, Mrs. Sunny, is it possible to reuse the cocoa peat, using it again for the second time?
I think it can, but depend on the plant. If the plants is get this plant disease, we have to throw away, not using it again. But if the plant is healthy, I think it can be used again. It's my opinion.
Yeah. That was true. In our experience in the greenhouse, we use the cocoa peat, and we can use it again in the second cycle. But it depends on the conditions of the cocoa peat. If it's become packed and dense, we need to remove it and change with the new one.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sunny and Mrs. Fia, for the clarification. So for the condition to reusing a cocoa peat is to make sure that the previous plant did not have any pest or disease. Okay, so participants, we still have 5 minutes left. We are open to a last question before we conclude the whole lecture and discussion. If you have questions regarding this topic, or of course regarding the previous topics on nutrition of hydroponics, or maybe on installation of hydroponic system, please feel free to address it by now, whether through the chat section or verbally by pressing the raise hand button. Okay, Mrs. Sunny, it appears there is no further question from the participants. Do you have any final comments regarding the lecture and discussion on seedling, planting, and maintenance? Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Miken. I think learning to get your seed starter system is not as complicated as learning to create an entire hydroponic system. All you need is some gentle care and attention. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this presentation be beneficial for all of us. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sunny, Mrs. Fia, Mr. Abdul Rahim, and also, of course, all of the participants for the engagement during the lecture and discussion session. And of course, I wish you much success for your future endeavors. So of course, for participants, do not forget to provide your feedbacks on Mrs. Sunny's lecture and discussion session by directing to the e-learning using the username and password that you obtained earlier. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, our next session is the post-test and action plan explanation. It is the next step in the e-learning sequence, an asynchronous one, and participants must complete them in order to receive the certificate. Mrs. Fia will show you how to fill out the action plan form. Without further ado, I will give the floor to Mrs. Fia.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Nikan. Okay, on the behalf of the LMS team, we would like to inform you that all of the participants must complete the action plans and also the post-test as the part of this training sequence. And the actions plan can be accessed in the LMS platform using your personal username and password. Okay, I will share the place of where you can access the action plan. So this one is your LMS platform. You can enter this page using your username and password. So the action plan and post-test was at the bottom part. After the virtual learning, you can see there is a program evaluations and facilitator evaluation form, the electronic evaluation form, and the action plan. So you can download the form by clicking this button. And after that, so this action plan is a written document that describes the steps of your supervisor, trainer, or learner that will complete to help maximize the transfer learning. So this action plan can be used by the individuals to prepare strategy to achieve their personal goals as well. So I will try to open the form. So in the action plan, there is a number of activities that you will do after these training sessions. Of course, it's related with the materials in these training sessions. And the people in charge, and you can put a notes in that. And okay, this one. I'll try to open the form. Here's the action plan. This is the action plan form. You can type your activities such as disseminate, or you have a plan to make your own hydroponics nutrients or maybe your own hydroponic installations. And you can put your activity time, the location of activities, person in charge, and you can put notes and put your signs. And after that, you can upload it into the LMS platform in here. Okay. You can upload your action plan in here. And we're going to give you a feedback and score for your action plans. And also, you need to finish or complete the post test. And for the post test, you need to at least got 70 in your as the minimum score. And if you are not reach the minimum score of 70, you may start another attempt until you can reach minimum for 70. The team is going to give you a chance for attempt. It's for about 7 or 10 times. Here. Okay, in here. So you have to do the post test for all of the training materials. And remember, the minimum score is 70. So that was the prerequisite for you to get the certificate. Okay, that's for the information. Thank you very much, Ms. Niken.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fia, for the comprehensive briefing. And of course, in accordance with the agenda, the deadline to fill out the action plan, post-test, and evaluation is until 4th of October 2020 at 12 AM Jakarta time zone. And as the committee, we recommend you to complete them upon the closure of this Zoom meeting. Mrs. Fia, maybe I would like to ask one question. If I am not mistaken, one of the participants is currently residing in Oklahoma, United States. And I figured out, yeah, she's a Latin American. No, she came from one of Latin American countries, but she currently residing on the United States. And I figured out on the action plan that you expect the participant to fill out the activity. So my question is, what kind of criteria of the activity for the participant who does it reside on the country, on their country of origin? Whether it should be an activity that benefits, for example, for this participant that benefits United States, or maybe the thing that she's planning to do once she returns to her home country.
So for the activity, it should be related with the participant's activity, whether she's in the origin country or maybe in her country now. So the activity we're expected is what is the activity, what they will do after this training without, a specific place where she is right now. So it's okay. It's not always in her origin country if she's not available there right now.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Fia. Yes. So one more confirmation, a question from Mr. Wilfred from Panama. So until October 4th, we have to fill the post test. I think it means the 4th of October is a deadline, right, Mrs. Fia? Participants can complete it anytime. The earlier would be better, right?
Yes. Yeah, right.
Okay, so participants, do you have any further questions regarding the action plan or the post test or for the evaluation? Still the same. The last day to upload the action plan is the deadline, 4th of October, 12 a.m. Jakarta time zone. Okay, well, of course, maybe Mrs. Via, can we share an email address just in case they have further question or they have difficulties in filling out the action plan?
Okay.
Share email address on the chat section.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe I can share my emails on the chat room. So in the case they have any problem in how to fill the action plan, they can contact me.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Via, for your generosity. So finally, participants, the final agenda of our training on hydroponics has been attained. Thank you for remaining with us for the past 3 working days. We are now heading for the closing session, and I would like to invite Ms. Channing from the NAM Center to lead us at the session. You have the floor, Ms. Channing.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nikan. Honorable representative of the ICAT, distinguished lecturers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for remaining for the closing ceremony of the online training course on hydroponics for Caribbean and Latin American countries, organized by Non-Aligned Movement Center for South-South Technical Cooperation, NAMCSSTC, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, in cooperation with Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Indonesia. It was a delight for the organizers to have the training be attended by amazing participants from Caribbean and Latin American countries. Last but not least, I would give the honor to Mrs. Siti Karimatun from ICAT to deliver her farewell words to participants. Mrs. Siti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Channing. Honorable representative of NAM GSSTC, Honorable Resource Speaker, Indonesian Center for Agriculture Training Lembang, distinguished guests, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to all of you in Caribbean and Latin America. First of all, let us praise to God Almighty so that we can gather virtually for the closing ceremony of the online training course on hydroponics for Caribbean and Latin America countries. We are happy that all the participants have successfully completed the online training. However, improvement and dissemination to your farmers after post-training will make us happy. I would like to extend my appreciation and gratitude on behalf of Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Indonesia to NAM Center for maintaining a close cooperation in organizing this training program. On behalf of Indonesian Agency Pro Agriculture Extension and Human Resource Development, I would also like to deliver my sincere gratitude to Indonesia Center for Agriculture Training Lembang for hosting this training and providing great assistance to all participants. To all resource persons and all participants, I'm so glad that you could give and share experiences to this training program. Once again, thank you and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Siti. Thank you so much for your warm remarks. We welcome the strong ICAT cooperation in organizing agriculture training and trust Indonesia's commitment to improving South-South cooperation with the Caribbean and Latin American countries. We really appreciate this strong collaboration. Distinguished participants, the last day of the course is close to completion. Once again, I would like to remind participants before we finish this session that you still need to do the post-test, action plan, and evaluation on the e-learning website. Please direct to and complete the e-learning website as it will be closed on 4th of October 2021. at 12 a.m. time zone of Jakarta. Finally, I want to thank participants personally for taking part in this program. I hope this training enhanced knowledge for all of us and will be beneficial for your countries. I should therefore announce the training is closed. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. See you at the upcoming event and have a nice day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms.
Makasih.
Gani.
Terima
Ken,
kasih.
thank you.
Terima kasih Ibu Siti, Bapak Ibu Widya Iswara, Ibu Yanisa, and for all participants.
Yanisa, Mas Ani, Mbak Fia.
Ibu, terima kasih Ibu, Bu
Terima
Niken,
kasih.
Mbak Chani, Bu Siti. Mari kita berfoto. Mari berfoto. Foto tengah malam.
Midnight. Okay, see you. Bye-bye all.
Bye. Everybody, for our participants, see you on the next training. See you, Pak Abdurrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Ken.